Let us go through the best DDR5 memory to buy right now at every budget and how much of it you actually need. 4 kits are worth buying today, and they run from $215 to $410. Which one you want comes down to 2 things: how much memory you need and whether you can stretch your money to run it across 2 sticks instead of just 1 stick. 2 sticks is the better buy at any given capacity, because it opens up the second memory lane to your processor. 1 stick is cheaper though, so it earns a place here for tight budgets. And prices are rough right now, we all know that, so here's the one piece of good news buried in it. The cheapest sensible kit is a genuinely good kit. Paying more mostly doesn't buy you a better one. There's a $78 spread on 230 gig kits right now, and the most expensive of these 3 is the slowest of them. So check the speed and the cache latency and buy near the bottom of the range, because the price isn't doing that job for you. So I'll go through all 4, the spec that decides it and what the memory money does if you put it into your graphics card instead. Because for a lot of builds, that's the better answer. 2 numbers decide how quick a memory kit usually is: the speed and the cache latency. The speed is megatransfers per second, 6000 here. You'll see it printed as megahertz on plenty of listings, which isn't quite right, but it's the same number. That one is bandwidth, how much the data moves. Cache latency is the delay, how many clock cycles pass between your processor asking for something and the memory handing it over. And cycles is the word that trips people up, because cache latency isn't measured in time. Is measured in ticks of the clock. Faster memory has shorter ticks, so the same real delay takes more of them. Which means the cache number is supposed to climb as the speed climbs. A cache 40 kit is not automatically worse than a cache 31. It depends entirely on what speed it's running at. So to compare the 2 kits, you turn both into actual time. Cache latency times 2000 divided by the speed. That gives you nanoseconds. And now everything sits on one scale. 6000 cache 30 works out at 10 nanoseconds. 6400 cache 32 has the bigger cache number and it lands on exactly the same 10 nanoseconds. And the 5200 cache 40 kit, the expensive one from a minute ago, is 15.4. So read the cache number next to the speed, never on its own. Now, 2 sticks or 1 stick. At the same capacity, 1 stick saves you about $86 at 32 gigs or 24 at 16. What you give up for that is half your memory bandwidth, because the second stick opens the second lane to your processor. At 16 gigabytes, it's not much of a decision. $24 doesn't move you anywhere else in the build, so take the 2 sticks. But at 32 gigabytes, $86 is real money. And I'm not going to pretend it's an easy call, because $86 can move you up a graphics card's tire. And a better graphics card is worth more frames than a second memory stick. So if that $86 is the difference between 2 graphics cards, take the single stick and the better card. If it isn't, take the second stick, because then you're giving up half your memory bandwidth for nothing. And that's exactly why the single stick options are on this list at all. They're not the compromise pile, they're for the builds where that money does more work somewhere else instead. However, that leaves the bigger question underneath all of this: whether you even need 32 gigabytes of RAM to begin with. Going from 16 to 32 costs $160, an average frame rate that buys you close to nothing. Every game out there right now runs on 16 gigabytes and runs fine on it. 16 is not a broken amount of memory in 2026. But there is one specific situation where 32 gigabytes pulls ahead, and it's narrow. A few of the heaviest games with the fidelity presets pushed all the way up will use more than 16 gigabytes if it's there. In that one case, you can see it in the 1% lows, which are the frame time spikes you feel as a stutter. So it isn't the 16 gigabytes that stutters on its own, it's that turning the settings up past what 16 can hold stutters. Which means the real question is whether you're running those settings at all. So here's what $160 does somewhere else in the same budget. $50 takes you from an RTX 5060 to a 5060 Ti. That's 23% more frames at 1440p. $120 gets you to a 9060 XT with 16 gigs of video memory and a 29% improvement in performance at 1440p. So the whole $160 buys you the bigger card outright with $40 left over. Same money, one version leaves your frame rate alone, the other moves it about the third. So when is 32 actually the right call? When your graphics card is strong enough to run the settings that use it. So if you're building around a B580, a 5060, a 9060 XT, you aren't running the presets that eat 20 gigabytes of RAM anyways. So get the 16 gigabytes of RAM and put the difference into a better graphics card instead. But if your card sits above that and you can drive those settings, then the capacity can actually be used for something. And you can go ahead and get the 32 gigabytes of RAM. If it was my build, I'd let the graphics card decide how much memory I would buy. Now how fast that memory should actually run, because the answer is different on AMD and Intel. On an AMD build, 6000 megatransfer at cache latency 30. On Intel, going faster than that keeps paying for longer. Those are 2 different answers, and it's worth 30 seconds to know why. Every processor has an official memory speed. A Ryzen 5 9600X is rated for 5600. Intel's Core Ultra 5 is rated for 6400. Anything above those numbers is an overclock. A normal supported works fine overclock, but that's exactly why the fast profile chips switched off. On AM5, the memory controller can only run in step with the memory up to a point. On the older Ryzen 7000 chips, that point is 6000. On the newer 9000 chips, AMD raised it to 6400, though whether your particular chip actually holds 6400 is a bit of a lottery. Past whichever limit applies to you, the controller drops to half rate, so a bigger number on the box can genuinely end up slower in games. 6000 CAS30 runs in step on both of them. That's why it's the safe answer, and it's the one I'd buy without thinking about it. If you're on a 9000 series chip, there's a 6400 CAS32 kit at the exact same $410. Same money, a bit faster if your chip cooperates. It's worth knowing about, but it's not worth stressing over. And here's the good news on price. 6000 megatransfer at CAS36 is $390. Same speed at CAS30 is $410. So the tighter timings cost $20. And they take you from 12 nanoseconds down to 10. $20 won't move you up a graphics card. So if you want the better timings, this is a cheap place to get them. But it isn't free money either. Keeping the 20 is a perfectly reasonable choice. And the CAS36 kit is still a good kit. There is one honest exception though. If you're on an X3D processor, the extra cache means it goes out of memory less often. So memory speed matters less to you than it does to everyone else. When the 9800 X3D was tested at 5600 and then at 6000, the faster memory was worth about 1.8%. So it's not nothing, it's just not worth reaching up a price tag for. Which brings us to the part where the money stops working. Past 6000, CAS30 and past 32GB. The price keeps climbing and the frame rate doesn't. 7000 at 625, 8000 at 680, that's $270 over the 6000 kit. For speed, an AM5 board can't run in step anyways. 270 is an entire graphics card tire. 64GB is $840. If you're editing video or running virtual machines, that's a fair buy. For gaming, that money does more almost anywhere else in the build. Some of what you're paying for on these kits does nothing for frame rate, and I'd rather say so. The lighting does nothing, the heat spreader height does nothing, and if it's tall, it can actually fight your air cooler for space. Before you click buy on anything, there are 4 things worth checking. Number 1 is the one that quietly wastes the most money. The fast speed you paid for is switched off by default. Your kit boots at 4800. You turn it on in the BIOS, it's called Expo on AMD and XMP on Intel. Extended profiles for overclocking and extreme memory profile. And it's one switch either way. Worth a 10-second look after your first boot. Number 2 is cooler clearance. Tall heat spreaders and big air coolers fight each other, so check the height at both before you buy, not after. Number 3. 2 sticks in the slots your manual asks for, usually the second and the fourth. 4 sticks of DDR5 for slower stable speeds, so filling every slot makes it worth, not better. 4. If you're adding memory to a build you already own, matching a second kit to your first one can cause problems even when the 2 spec sheets look identical. So instead, buy the capacity you want in a single kit. And one thing that's easy to forget when you're deciding between 16 and 32GB. Your games don't get all of it. A browser with tabs open, Discord, a streaming software can take 3 to 6GB before the game even launches. So 16 installed is more like 10 to 13 in practice. It's worth factoring in if you're the kind of person who plays with a second monitor full of other stuff. So what I'd actually buy. 4 options, cheapest first. Within each one I'd take the best speed and timings you can get without paying much extra, because that premium is small right now and it won't always be. The first one is the 16GB on a single stick. Patriot Viper Elite RGB, 6000 megatransfers, CAS30, $215. This one's unusual. It's the cheapest 16GB stick and it already has the best timings, so there's nothing to trade up to. You're running single channel though, which costs you real performance. So it's a tight budget option, not a bargain. Secondly, same 16GB but across 2 sticks. T-Force Delta Alpha RGB 6000, CAS38. It costs $250. $35 over the first one buys you the second memory channel. There's also a kit $10 cheaper than this at $5,200. CAS40, and I'd pay the 10 to go up to 6000. Third, 32GB single stick. Patriot Viper Elite RGB again. 6000 CAS42, $304. CAS42 is loose, that's 14 nanoseconds, against 10 for the good 32GB kits. But on one stick at this capacity, there isn't a tighter option worth the money, so that's the trade, on top of the single channel one. Fourth, and the one I'd buy if the budget allows it. 32 GB across 2 sticks. Patriot Viper Venom 6000 CAS 30, 410. The cheapest one here is $390 at CAS 36, and that's a good kit too. $20 additional takes you to CAS 30 though, which is 10 nanoseconds instead of 12. I'd spend it, but keeping it is just fine as well. All 4 of these work on AMD and Intel. On an Intel board, you could push past 6000 megatransfers, but the price jump above it isn't worth it, so the list doesn't change. If you'd rather not run this math on every single part, that's what the PC builder at MaxMyBuild.com is for. You put in a budget, it gives you back a full list parts that all work together. And it decides how much memory that budget should get instead of you having to do it. It's free, there's no account required, and it's the first link down in the description.